All right, so this is Billy Carson. He's been on a couple of podcasts. I think he was on Joe Rogan. He was definitely on Andrew Scholl's, and I don't really know too much about him other than that he's very Gnostic and he makes a bunch of claims that are false. And if you want like more scholarly rebuttals to the things he's saying, go check out Inspiring Philosophy. He deals with this a lot more, and it's like his kind of like his niche. I don't know if he wants it to be, but it's become that, and he's got a lot of really good responses.
There's a guy on Instagram named Wesley
Snipes.
something. He's a Canadian guy. He works for Canadian Apologetics, and every single video this guy puts out, he responds to and makes like an in-depth video. He's a scholar. It's hilarious. He like so easily dismantles every single video.
We should get them both on here for a debate.
I tried. I think he's too like corporate. You know what I mean?
Well, can we get Billy Carson? And then once we tell Billy Carson,
I doubt Billy Carson.
Hey,
we've got. On.
Why not? We'll be like, hey, why don't you come? If you're right, prove it.
We could try.
Billy Carson, if you see this, you can come on our podcast if you want to debate a scholar from Canada. There's the official invite.
Play the video.
Yeah. What you guys will watch us and we'll be like, I don't understand. Yeah, you're right. You won't.
Just like if you read the Epic of Gilgamesh, you discover that's the true story of Noah's Ark in the Bible. They copied it from the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's not two separate stories. It's the same exact story being rewritten.
So who was Jesus then? What is the story?
I believe that Jesus, his real name is Yeshua. First of all, he was a real person that did
everyone
exist.
knows that.
I've been to the house where he grew up in Egypt, because if you remember in the Bible, Jesus disappears from the Bible at the age of 12. You don't see him again until he's 32. He's gone.
True.
Where does he go? The Gospel of the Holy 12, which was left out of the Bible, has the answer. He goes to Egypt. He was learning the Egyptian mysteries. From there, he went all the way up into Tibet to learn Reiki healing and Qigong.
False.
And that's been confirmed by the Dalai Lama. And then he left from there and went down into India to learn the mystic arts, teaching reincarnation all the way back to Egypt. And then the Bible picks up, I call my son out of Egypt. And then you see him appear on the back of a donkey in Jerusalem at the age of 32. And that's where the Bible text picks him back up as coming back in.
So the first thing I want to say is, he's right. Jesus did go to Egypt. That's true. The Bible does say, out of Egypt I've called my son. That's true. Jesus didn't go anywhere besides Egypt. He stayed in Egypt. He grew up in Egypt. And, from 12 to, like 30 something. But this is one of the ways you kind of know Billy Carson's not accurate, and some red flags you should see that should get you to question, right? He says the Bible picks up after Egypt with him riding a donkey and he's 32. If you know the Bible, he's referencing the triumphal entry where Jesus walks into Jerusalem on a donkey, but that happens at the end of Jesus's ministry. I just read this morning, non-ironically, like didn't know we were going to make this video about this. Just in my reading, I was reading in Luke the part of Jesus's triumphal entry. This is like the end of his ministry right before he gets crucified. So you have all the gospel accounts before this. And so this guy's just like, the fact that he gets that wrong should make you think, okay, where else is he kind of being wrong? And another thing, you're like, oh no, like what is this Gospel of the Holy 12 that I haven't been told about? Well, the reason you weren't told about it is because it didn't exist until 1899. And I'm going to show you guys how easily you can find this out. Ready? Watch this. YouTube. Let's go to ChatGPT. All I did was ask ChatGPT, what's up? When was the Gospel of the Holy 12 written? The Gospel of the Holy 12, also known as the Gospel of Perfect Life, is a text that some claim to be an ancient gospel. However, it was written in the 19th century. It was published in 1899. Yeah, any Christian's not going to accept any gospel text that was written more than like 100 years after Jesus walked the earth.
Let's hear Mormon.
Yeah, true. But yeah, like we said, Christian. No Christian's going to.
All right.
But, you know, like all the biblical texts are within 100 years or less of Jesus's life. You know, anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, the Epic of Gilgamesh part starts at the beginning. Also, he says that the Noah story, the flood story account is copied from the Epic of Gilgamesh. A lot of this a lot of Genesis gets claimed to be copied from the Epic of Gilgamesh and from the different gods that are seen, the creation stories or creation myths, not only from the Epic of Gilgamesh, but also from Egyptian creation myths as well. And while there are similar aspects to them, especially to the creation stories, there's clear similarities. And think of it this way. If there is a popular idea of how the world was created at one time, what the Bible, which is what the Epic of Gilgamesh is, right? The Bible takes that, doesn't copy it, but takes the story and shows how God was the one who triumphed, like Yahweh was the one who triumphed over all of the gods, powers, unruliness, at least within the creation stories, right? That goes for the Egyptian ones and for the Mesopotamian ones. So when it comes to the flood accounts, there are similarities as well. When you look at the Noah Ark story and the Epic of Gilgamesh, the flood stories, they're similar, but the main similarities is that there's a flood. And guess how many other cultures have a flood in their culture? Like all of them.
Everyone.
Right? So, yeah. And so you can't really say that they're copied. If you look at thematically, what's the difference between them? Everything. Right? Like the God in them is different. Like the people that are in them are different. The focus of the stories are different. Like all of it's different. So to say they're copied is pretty crazy. Like there's nothing copied about them. There's floods in lots of different stories.
Yeah, and I've heard people say like Gilgamesh might be Nimrod from the Bible, and like he has this guy like in the Gilgamesh story, right? He's apparently this like ruler who's a really evil dictator, and so the gods send a beast, humanoid, animalistic, godlike deity to be his equal and fight him, and then they become friends and go on adventures together. If you've ever read the Bible...
I'd watch that anime.
Yeah, I would watch it too. If you've ever read the Bible, there's nothing like that in there.
Yeah.
Okay, this is awesome. Why I said I don't like this content, is because they're blatant lies that confuse people and then make Christianity like this thing that shouldn't be trusted because some guy with good production quality said that the Bible's keeping secrets from you. And they're like,
I just realized, you know what all of these videos feel like to me? They all feel like you're an English like professor and you're working with junior hires, and junior hires are just learning how to like use citations, and they're just Googling the same words or the same like phrase that will work with their citation, just making a fake citation. And when you actually click on the citation, it has nothing to do with the actual research paper you're trying to write.
Mm-hmm.
I know everyone can empathize with that. Everyone's done that in some way here or there. And I'm sure professors deal with that all the time. Like, how does this source you're citing have anything to do with the body of work you just did? Like, you definitely just found this and was like, the title looks good, I'm putting it in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's how it feels. It's like you found two similar words and you're saying they're the same thing without any extra evidence and just hoping no one looks into it.
Yeah, so many people.
The thing is, we're in such a clickbaity culture, no one's going to look into it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so many people.